Good evening. The Oxfordshire-based Caterham Formula 1 team in Leafield has been referred to the pensions regulator. It's paid nothing into employees' pension schemes since new owners took over 3 months ago. Tom Torrell reports.
The troubles at the West Oxfordshire-based Formula 1 firm Caterham have been well documented. It was sold in July to a Swiss and Middle Eastern consortium who dismissed a total of 44 members of staff almost immediately. But there's more. This pub's said to be a favourite amongst Caterham staff outside of office hours. Now, understandably, none of them wanted to appear on camera. But one employee has told the BBC that the firm has stopped paying into staff pension pots. Now, around 300 people are affected, and I can confirm that the F1 business has been referred to the pensions regulator. In a statement, it said, Caterham F1 team is taking care of its current employees and obligations to staff, and is in talks with the relevant authorities to comply with the regulations. But is this part of a much bigger financial problem for the industry? It costs around £60 million a year to run the smaller teams, but the bigger ones are spending more like £250 million. The implications are felt in our region, where hundreds of companies supply Formula 1 teams with parts. Some tell us they're now having to wait months to be paid. This uncertainty leaves many worrying about their dependence on an increasingly unstable industry. Tom Torrell, BBC South Today.
It's not clear who employs the staff at Caterham Formula 1. When we asked Caterham, they told us the staff are employed by a company that is a supplier to the company that holds its F1 licence, the licence that allows it to compete in the Formula 1 World Championship. Earlier, I asked the editor of Race Tech magazine, William Kimberley, if he could explain who the new owners might be.
I'm afraid not. I've tried to discover the entity that owns the Caterham F1 team, even going to company's house, but I'm afraid I've drawn a blank.
It seems extraordinary that a company can be so mysterious when it's employing staff. It must be very unsettling for the staff at Caterham to not know who's paying their wages.
I think it's very unsettling indeed, especially when this new group came in to buy the team. The first thing they did was basically make 50 people redundant, and that has a very unsatisfying effect throughout the whole team.
Let's talk a bit more widely about Formula 1. It's an expensive sport and very competitive. How do you see the future for smaller teams like Caterham?
I think the future is pretty dire, I'm afraid. The cost of competing is £65 million a year minimum, and to have that sort of money, have the infrastructure and the team to become competitive and move up the grid is actually not very bright at all.
Do you think there's a way of making it easier for the smaller teams to remain competitive in the sport?
Yes, indeed. Cost capping, making sure that teams don't spend money willy-nilly, it's been in fashion and out of fashion for quite a while, but until the FIA gets to grip with it and actually take a firm hand, nothing will happen.
Hundreds of companies in this area supply the Formula 1 teams. What effect is the current uncertainty having on them?
It's something they've lived with. If you supply a Formula 1 team, you do realise that the teams at the low end of the grid might be gone next year or the year after, but there is an association called the Motorsport Industry Association that does credit checks, and if you're a member, you have access to this and who the bad payers are.
William Kimberley, thank you.